Today is yoga for stress, our gentle class. We'll be doing a fair amount seated today, so if you like to have a chair handy, grab a chair or some props so that you can sit comfortably. We don't want to be adding any physical stress in. We are going to do a restorative pose at the end. So if you have some props, we have a big bolster and a couple of things for our arms, blocks, maybe an eye pillow, anything that you need for comfort, blanket, any kind of comfort items, anything. If you don't have a bolster, grab a couple of pillows. I want it to be kind of firm underneath the stomach, so a nice firm pillow or a couple of pillows, maybe a couch cushion. So we're going to start down on our backs, landing on your back. Really start to land on the mat, letting go of everything outside of the mat. Take a little shuffle with the hips. Maybe have the feet down, knees up, and let the knees lean in on each other. Really let the lower body soften as much as possible. Take a little side sway of the head. Let the neck soften. Let the head know that it's supported on the ground. We're going to do a lot of kind of gentle self-care techniques. Taking it easy, thinking about balance today. So just starting to land in your breath, noticing what is present. And the goal of today is to locate and release tension in the physical body, and then locate and release tension in the energetic body and the other layers, the mind. So making a little promise to yourself to really stay present on your mat. We're going to practice a breath practice to begin. We're going to breathe in nice and slow. And if you like, you can bring your hands to your torso just so you connect with your breath moving in your body. And what we're going to do is not a forceful breath. We're going to breathe in nice and slow without that gripping and force of muscular action, but breathing in nice and slow with as much of the body soft as possible. Add a gentle pause, and then breathe out nice and slow, and add another gentle pause. You may notice that your inhale is a little shorter than your exhale. Go with that. You may notice that one pause is slightly easier to keep longer than the other. Go with that. Try to let go of rules and just experiment with your own breath. Notice what feels right in your body right now. And if it helps, you can say to yourself, I'm breathing in, gentle pause. I'm very slowly breathing out, gentle pause. You can have your eyes closed or open, whatever you're more comfortable in. Trying to keep all of your awareness and focus right there with your breath. I'm breathing in, gentle pause. I'm very slowly breathing out, gentle pause. hands to soften back to the ground. Palms up and shoulders melting into the ground. Notice how you feel. And bring your your ring finger and your thumb to touch on both hands, lightly, softly touching. Connect with the sensation of your finger touching your thumb. And then let your hands soften, and we'll start to slowly move and breathe. Bring your hands down by your hips. Inhale as you lift your arms up overhead. Exhale as you slowly, gently bring your arms back down to your hips. Moving with your breath. Inhale, lift arms up. And exhale, arms back down. Watching for compensation patterns in the low back. Trying to keep the lower body soft. And just moving through the arms, connecting with your breath again. Bring your arms down by the hips. Let the shoulders melt into the ground. And then we're going to bring the shoulders up to our ears, letting your arms drag on the ground. Squeeze your shoulders up towards the ears. And then press the shoulders back down. Squeeze the shoulders up. And press the shoulders back down. Starting to connect with the muscles in the shoulders. And then let your shoulders come back to neutral. And we're going to work through shoulders and upper back. So allowing the lower body to be soft and the movement not to come from the stomach, the glutes, or the low back. We're going to open our arms wide, shoulder width. I'm going to take our right hand across the body, past the left. So letting our head roll, letting our hips roll. Inhale as we open back up. Exhale as we cross left hand over right. So this is coming from upper back and shoulders. Letting our head just roll on the ground. Inhale as you open. Exhale as you cross. Nice and slow. And then land back down on the ground. Take a little shuffle of the hips and knees. Take the feet a bit wider, about a little wider than mat width apart. We're going to slowly take one knee at a time in towards center. Nice and slow. Just starting to feel the muscles of the hips and the legs. And then bring your knees back, your feet back to about hip width. Take a little shuffle, make sure there's nothing stuck in around the low back. Shoulders are still mounted onto the ground, and we're going to think about the neck for a little bit. So a little press of the head into the ground, chin to the ceiling. Watch for anything going on in the low back. Try to have the shoulders melted to the ground. pressing the head, slowly take the chin over towards the right, trying to keep the shoulders melted on the ground. Connect with the left side of the neck. Breathe into the left side as if releasing tension. Imagine you can melt all the muscles on the left side of the neck and your shoulders are getting heavier and heavier. And then with a little press of the head into the ground, slowly bring the chin back through the center and over to the left side. And the same thing once you get there, imagine melting the muscles on the right side. Letting the shoulders become heavier and heavier. Maybe you feel an opening and your chin makes it a little closer to the left shoulder. Melting both shoulders, left and right. Look for where you're holding your tension. Slowly bringing your chin back to neutral and feel the neck. Notice what is present. Bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. And we're going to take the feet up to the ceiling. Move through the muscles in the feet. So squeezing the toes, curling the toes, and then pulling the toes back to the shins. Nice and slow, feeling the feet. Legs can be bent, whatever's most comfortable. We're just thinking about the feet and having our feet above our heart. Curling the toes under without moving the legs. Take slow circles with the feet. Trying to feel the muscles of the feet. So we're not just rolling through the joint. We're trying to activate muscles in the feet. Change the direction of your circle. And then pull the toes back towards the shins and take ankles and take foot circles. Nice and slow. And then back the other way. Bend the knees a little more. And we're going to take circles from the knee down. So lower leg circles. Trying to keep the thighs relatively still. So we're really just trying to move below the knee. And then back the other way. Trying to connect with the muscles that make the legs move. And then take the feet towards the ceiling. Make sure the low back is not gripping. Maybe a little press of the hips into the ground. We're going to pull the toes towards the shins, and then we're going to turn the toes in towards each other. And then little pulses, taking the feet neutral and then in. Neutral and then in. Feeling the muscles that make this movement happen. And then bring the feet neutral and then take them all the way out. Point them out. Hold. And then neutral and out. Little pulses. Nice and slow. Connecting with the muscles. If you have a particularly tight low back, you can rest your feet on the chair and do the same motion. And bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Land your feet back on the ground, knees up. Take your hands out in front. Spread the fingers wide. So looking at our hands, spread the fingers wide. Feel the hands. Make a fist. And then spreading wide, we're going to take slow circles with the hands. So feeling the muscles of the hands. Again, not just rolling, we're feeling the muscles. Take them out in the other direction. And then hands out. So pointing your fingers away from you. Pull your fingers in towards center and then back, just like we were doing with our feet. We're trying to find the muscles in the hands. So we want to find long, strong, active fingers and hands. And then out to the outside and back. Outside and back. You even make a little U shape with the motion. Notice if any angle is particularly clicky. And then soften the fingers. Take some wiggles. Make some fists and slowly lower the hands back down to the ground. Take a little wiggle of the hips. Make sure you loosen and soften anything that you might have brought into the low back. And firing up the muscles of the stomach and the muscles of the back of the legs and the glutes. We're going to move with our breath, lifting our hips off the ground. So inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Again, trying to connect to the breath, moving with the breath. Inhale, exhale, lower. Try to keep the tension out of the neck, chin to the ceiling, shoulders remain on the ground. And then bring your knees in. Give yourself a hug and roll on over to the right side. This might be a good time to use one of your props for underneath your head. We're going to roll onto our right side. Keeping our hips on top of each other, knees on top of each other, ankles together. We're going to do clamshell lifts. So moving from the knee, lifting left leg and lowering. Only we're not just flopping around. You see a lot of this happen. We're not flopping. We're trying to lock the torso, so engage the stomach and lift the knee as if it's really hard to lift. So we're going to engage all the muscles of the leg. Watch for compensation patterns in the neck. Really try to fire up this top leg, top glute, left leg, left glute. And then take the left leg long. And we're going to think about lifting from the heel. Thing to watch here, don't crunch the hip in. We're focusing on the leg. So we're going to lift and lower this heel using the leg and the hip and the glute. Try not to crunch into the waist. There's no competition for how high we get the leg. We're just trying to connect with the muscles. Bring the top leg back down and roll on over to your back and to the other side. I'm going to turn so you can see. So right leg on top, knees together, hips together, ankles together. Beginning with lifting the knee, clamshell lifts, lift and lower. Torso active so that you stay stable on the ground. Take the tension out of the neck. And then bring the right leg long and think about lifting from the heel. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you lower. Trying not to crunch the space between the hip and the rib cage. Really moving from the glute and the leg. Fire up the torso a little bit to keep the torso stable. And then bring that knee back to the left knee. Roll on over to a tabletop position. So, inhale, tabletop. Exhale towards child's pose. Moving with your breath. Inhale forward, exhale back. And then come on up to a tabletop position. So start to lift yourself up out of the ground rather than sinking down into the shoulders. Lift up out of the ground so your shoulders, chest, arms are active and strong. You're pulling your stomach towards your torso. We're going to move our way onto the right hand. Left arm comes out. We're going to reach the left arm long. And then pull it back. Reach long and pull back. So we're trying to find the muscles of the shoulder. Right shoulder should remain strong and active. And then take a giant circle with the left arm. Slow. Return the left arm. Take a little reset. Lift up out of the ground. Strong chest, strong arms, strong shoulders. Reach long with the right arm and then draw back. Reach long and draw back. Stomach stays strong so your torso stays still. And then reach the right arm long. Slow circle with the right arm. And return the right hand and come on up to a seated position. Feel free to grab a chair or a cushion to sit on. So come on to a seat. Land in your seat. So long, long, long in the spine, soft shoulders, neck. Start to really land in your seat. So make sure that you're nice and even in your hips. Start to imagine you could add space between each vertebrae and get taller, longer in the spine. Notice what is present. So run your attention down your neck. Notice what is present in the neck. Notice what is present in the shoulders. Notice what is present behind the shoulder blades, so in between and behind the shoulder blades. Notice the low back. work with the neck. So very slow, mindful movements with the neck. And we're not just head flipping. We're not doing the hair flip. We're going to work with the muscles of the neck. Find the tension, try to give it a little release. So you're gonna bring your chin all the way down to the chest. And now a little bit more firm breathing so that you're really kind of cleansing as your throat is constricted. So breathing in nice and firm. And breathing out. Maybe even a little ha. Feel what is present in the back of the neck. Feel what's present in the throat. Bring the chin back to neutral. Return to natural breath. Notice anything that's present. Notice any sensations. And then we're going to lift our chin to the ceiling. So lifting the chin as in activating the front of the neck and pulling the chin up, not dropping the skull onto the vertebrae in the back. So lift, lift, lift. Pull the chin up, maybe even pull the bottom lip over the top to further stretch the front of the chin and neck. Long, slow breath as you open up the front of the neck. And bring the head back to neutral. Take your fingertips and place them right where your skull meets your neck. So a little self massage. Take your little fingers and roll them around in circles right in this space. So not touching the spine, but right on either side of the spine where the skull meets the neck. Little circles, kind of firm. Feel the tension here. If you find a spot that feels like it's the spot you should hold and give a little attention to, feel free to just place your fingers there with a little pressure. Otherwise, just gentle little circles. And if today is not your day where you're holding a lot of tension here and this feels fabulous, move up into the skull. Think about those wonderful, the best hairdresser massage you've ever had. They're firm fingers, really giving attention and circulation to the skull. So, firm fingers, little circles right into the hair. Or remain at the neck, wherever feels right for you today. And let that go. Take a little slow circle, one at a time with each shoulder. And then squeeze the shoulder blades together really tight. Find the muscles that squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then we're going to draw the shoulder blades up and down. Up with the squeeze. So you're trying to find the muscles, some of those muscles that sometimes get pinched when we're stressed. We feel like we're pulling right between the shoulder blades. So find those muscles, connect with them. Elevate and press the shoulders. And then let the shoulders find neutral. Take a little wiggle, see how they feel. Find your breath. I'm going to work a little with spinal movements. We're going to do some twisting motions. Thinking about moving from the solar plexus area right around the rib cage. So leaving our base, leaving our hips where they are. squeezing into the midline. So all of the stomach muscles pull in towards the center and then pull back towards the spine. Find some strength. We're really going to use those muscles only. So watch yourself. Watch your compensation patterns. Notice if you push down into a hip as you turn. Notice if you push into a foot to get a little further. We want to keep this movement right in the stomach muscles. So take your hands out of the game, lift them up. Not hard, just lift them up so that you're not using them to pull and yank yourself. There's no competition, we're just starting to move in this space. If you like, you can think of a fiery yellow ball in this space. And we're going to inhale as we move, center, exhale as we twist. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. We're moving with our breath. Inhale, exhale. And if you're feeling like you need to pump it up a little, you can move a little more with energy. So inhale, or nice and slow. For where you're at today, but always watching for those compensation patterns. Where inhale, center, exhale, twist, and the movement is coming from the core, not the back, not the hips, not the feet. Bring it back to center, lower the arms, and take a little wiggle to reset. This time we're going to do the movement, same twisting movement. We want to move from the stomach muscles, but we're also going to engage the shoulders. So we're going to bring the fists to point towards each other. We're going to lift our arms up. We're going to engage our arms, our shoulders, our chest, and everything from the rib cage up. So nice and strong, except the neck. Neck and face nice and soft. We're going to inhale, center, and exhale as we pull an arm back and twist. Inhale, center, exhale, pull back and twist. So now the movement is a little different. Notice the muscles of the arms and shoulders. You can take this energetically. So inhale, or nice and slow. Maybe you want to try a couple of rounds energetic and a couple of rounds slow. Experiment, make this your own practice. Bring it back to center. Bring your hands to prayer. Interlace your fingers and then pull your fingers apart. Take a little side with the chest, moving through the muscles of the chest. And then press the fingers away. Press the palms away. So if this is too tight, just take your hands. Otherwise, interlace, press. And we're going to move and breathe with our arms like this. So, hands down. We're going to push. Inhale, exhale, pull down. Now we're moving right into the spine. Inhale as we lift the chest. Exhale as we pull back. Bring them out, air out of our stomach. Again, if this is too much for your hands, just lift and exhale. Undo the hands, take some soft circles. Spine neutral, hands land, palms up, bring ring finger to thumb to touch. Maybe even close your eyes and notice what is present. our fingertips and run our fingertips underneath our collarbone, little light taps. So just tapping around underneath our collarbone. Thinking about how much of our immune system is right here in this chest area. Imagine giving it a little attention, a little circulation. Maybe imagining as you're breathing in, opening down the throat and across the space, across the front of the chest. Little taps, and you can make them a little firmer. You can really tap, tap, tap. Notice which one works for you. Some people need really light taps here. Can begin drainage. If you have a lot of drainage, this can actually start drainage. So if that is too much, don't go to this tapping firmer. You can go to tapping firmer if it works for you. Notice what happens. And then bring your hands back down. Fingertip, ring finger to thumb. Notice. So this shape with our hand is Earth Mudra. It's also used for balance. We don't need to know the meanings or believe in the meanings. We can just connect to the sensation. It helps bring our awareness to the point of our finger and thumb touching and out of the vacillating waves of the brain and the mind. And let the hands soften. We're going to take the head over to the right shoulder, opening up left shoulder. So a couple of things we can do here, nice and slow and gentle. Feeling the tension in the left side of the neck. We can place our right hand right underneath the collarbone and a little tiny pull down, tiny pull. Just really connecting, not by pulling the shoulder down, but pulling the skin. You can gently and slowly move your chin around, feeling the tension in the neck. You can also tuck the left hand behind the back, see how that feels. And you can even press the hand, the top of the hand, into the hip. See how that feels. Slowly release, bring the head back to neutral. Take a little wiggle and see how both sides feel. And then head slowly over to the left side. Connect with the muscles on the left side of the neck. Maybe the left hand comes just underneath the collarbone of the right side. Maybe the right hand tucks onto the hip. Breathe into your neck. Imagine it softening and opening. All the muscles of your neck, allowing a little softness, a little less tension. Slowly bring the head back to neutral. We're going to work with moving through the angles of the head, nice and slow. So not rolling the head, but actually finding the muscles. Bring your chin down. And then slow circle. So we're going to try and feel all of the movements your neck can make. Slow, 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 slow. Then bring your chin back to neutral and all the way back in the other direction. Watch for your compensation patterns. Make sure your hands are not gripping, your back's not gripping. Head back to neutral and then upper back circle. So bring your hands crossed over your chest to either shoulder, nice and soft. And then we're going to move through upper back. So we want to think about moving from above the rib cage. So a slow circle. Slow, 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 slow. Trying to keep the hips in place. Just feeling all the movements of the upper back. It doesn't make a lot of movement. I'm just trying to feel. And then go back in the other direction. And then back. Neutral. Unravel the hands. Take a wiggle. See what's present. And then we're going to move in a slow circle, rib cage up. So imagine moving the chest around in a circle. And then back the other way. Slow circle. Watch for gripping. And then we're going to go down into our restorative pose. So, setting up nice and slow. There are a bunch of nerves, a bunch of pressure points down the front of the torso. So that's what we're looking to connect with. You're going to bring your bolster, or in whatever you have that's similar, underneath your torso. I have an eye pillow and a cover to rest on my block. So you want to make a space for your face so that you can rest your forehead down. The tension is out of your neck. You have room to breathe. But as much of your torso from your hips to your shoulders is on the bolster. So set up. This may not be comfortable under your knees. You may need to prop something like a blanket under your knees. It can also be helpful to place something under your feet. So find a way to land on the bolster and then make an assessment for where your arms are most comfortable. For most people, it's palms up, kind of laying down with bent arms. Some people like to tuck them behind them and really let the shoulders fall. So make an assessment, see which feels right for you. We're going to be here for a little bit. So as you're sinking into the bolster, you want to be able to feel the weight of gravity pulling you down. Slow down your breath. Connect with melting into the bolster. Connect to any sensations that come up. For some people, back up, face down feels more vulnerable than the opposite way. It's different. Everybody is different. There are no right or wrong answers to any sensations that come up in any of the poses. The exploration is the point. So if face down like this feels stifling or it brings some nervous energy up, that's not wrong. Sit with it. See what it feels like to breathe through this. Slow, gentle breath. Reminding yourself that you're here on your mat. Reminding yourself that you have support of the bolster. You're resting. Your muscles can release their burden and rest into support. If you have your face resting on a block, sometimes people like to bring their hands there too. So if you have that point of the forehead that is touching something and you have some nervous energy, maybe you can bring your focus right to the point of the forehead. And with your breath, imagine that you're just slowly breathing in fresh, soothing breath. You can give it a color. You can give it a blue, cooling color. Breathing in fresh and releasing out with the exhale any of that nervous energy, melting away stress and tension, releasing into the bolster. Breathe in fresh and release out tension. And as you start to breathe and release tension, notice if you need to adjust a little. Your shoulders seem to be coming closer to the ground. Your arms may need to adjust. Notice. You may feel a lengthening sensation in the spine. I've seen people have to move their block a considerable distance further as their spine lengthens. Release the tension across the back. And then we're going to imagine we're breathing in through the crown of our head, and it's going to go down our spine all the way to the tailbone. And it's going to release fresh breath across the back of the hips. And then it's going to sweep away tension back up through the spine and out through the crown of the head. You can give it a color, a temperature, anything that helps you visually imagine breathing in through the crown of your head, spreading softness across the low back, and then sweeping away tension and letting go of whatever is no longer needed. And then bring your awareness across the mid-back, and you're going to breathe in through the crown of the head, down to the mid-back, across the mid-back. Imagine space, freshness, softness forming across the mid-back, and then sweeping away tension with the exhale. And then bring your attention across the back of your shoulders, and you're going to imagine breathing in through the crown of the head, sweeping fresh energy across the back of the shoulders, and then sweeping away tension up and out through the crown of the head. And then make an assessment if this pose, face down, resting in this restorative pose, feels like a perfect rest for you. You've released all the tension and you're ready to melt into a resting pose. Stay here. Remain in this pose, sweeping in fresh breath down the spine and sweeping away tension. Maybe you had one particular area of your back that felt like it wasn't releasing, maybe bringing all your awareness right there. If you need to adjust your pose, we have a bolster, so maybe you adjust and just roll over. Things to watch for if you're going to roll over and take this as a resting pose. You can bring your hips up to the bolster and lay back. So if you are not short in the torso like I am, watch for your head hanging off the bolster. We don't want a neck hanging out in a resting pose. So you can prop up. You can place the bolster onto the block. And prop up in this manner, having something in underneath our knees. Allowing our arms to melt to the ground, maybe even propping our arms so our shoulders feel like they're not hanging out in space and falling and they have to grip. You can also, we have neck pillows in the studio. You can also place a blanket, a towel, wrap it into kind of a U shape, wrap it in around your neck and then under the head, so that the head is a little lifted and supported on top of the bolster. Find your final resting pose that works for you. And find comfort in this pose. It's a resting pose. We're not stretching. We're not trying to add a little extra in. Trying to get to that point where we can release all of the tension in the physical body. And particularly right now in this moment, many of us are stuck in that kind of fight or flight sensation. So we want to find rest in the physical body so that our digestion can turn on and our body can start to function a little more healthy, a little restful, even if it's just for this short period of time. And the card that I pulled today was about balance. So as you're starting to rest in and let go of focus on your breath and just melt into support, read about balance. Balance and equality begin within. When you can allow yourself to receive as much as you give, your energy will not be depleted. When you can find a healthy balance between self-acceptance and your commitment to growth, you can cultivate inner equanimity. When you can play and be whimsical as much as you are practical and productive, your life will naturally come into balance. My intention is to find a healthy balance in all aspects of my life, to play as much as I work, to receive as much as I give, and to accept myself as much as I endeavor to change. So as we melt into our resting pose, we're going to do a meditation on balance. So without thinking of negative and positive or thinking about shame and anything, particular memories, we're going to do a visual play. So we're going to label one side of our body, our left side of our body, we're going to give it a color. Give it whatever color you want. Maybe it's black and the right side is white. Maybe it's two different colors. We make two different colors. We're going to give our left side one color and our right side another color. And we're going to think of them as two different sides, and we're going to really draw a line down our body, one color and the other color. We're really going to think and fill up left side one color, right side the other color. See yourself laying down here on the ground with these two distinct colors, separate and distinct. Maybe you can even give the left side a cooling sensation and the right side a warm sensation. Maybe you can imagine the left side is very, very light And the right side is very, very heavy. Make them so very different, different sides of our body. And then right from the center of our chest, our heart space, our unconditional love space, imagine a swirling ball of energy beginning to begin. Little soft spiral beginning from the center of our heart. Begin to notice these two colors are starting to softly bend, swirl, and blend. You can still see two distinct colors. They're blending slowly, moving, swirling. And the ball slowly expands, and more and more and more, your whole body becomes to be this blended color. No more light versus dark. No more right versus wrong, but just a one whole swirling, beautiful ball of energy. And then for the next few breaths, melting into your resting pose. Connecting with the concept of being whole, complete, and balanced precisely as you are. If you have the time to spend a little more time resting into this resting pose, please take as much time as you need. If you need to finish up, it's 60 minutes. We're coming right up on that time. So if you are face down on your bolster, bring your hands to the ground and rub them around on the ground. Bring sensation to your hands first, and then fire up the muscles of the stomach, because you'll be nice and rested. So you want to be protective of the spine as we move out of this pose. So you fire up the muscles of the hands, fire up the muscles of the stomach. Bring the knees into the ground and then pressing into the hands, nice and soft and slow. Send the hips backwards and take a moment in a child's pose shape. And then slowly come on up to a seated position. Bringing your hands to prayer at heart space. Think of yourself as that whole and complete swirling ball of energy. May we find little ways to laugh at ourselves when we're taking ourselves too seriously. May we find little ways to remind ourselves of a little joy when things are a little tough. May we find little ways to remain humble when we're feeling too arrogant. May we spend the rest of our day finding simple ways to remain balanced. Thank you for joining me.